December 28, 2014, from the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, Georgia. It was the Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons in this NFC South Division rivalry matchup on the final week of the season. The Panthers won the toss. They elected to receive, so they would get the ball first. They would start off on their own 20 after the kickoff. And on first down, Cam Newton hit Greg Olsen for an 18-yard reception and a first down at the 38. Then on 2nd and 1 from the 47, John Stewart ran 7 yards for the first down at the 46 of Atlanta for the Panthers. Then on 2nd and 11 from the 47, Cam Newton took it himself 13 yards for the first down at the 34. Then on 2nd and 1 from the 25, John Stewart picked up 3 yards in the first down at the 22. Cam Newton then hit John Stewart for an 11-yard reception that made it a first down on the 11-yard line. But they weren't able to get into the end zone, and out would come Gano to attempt a 21-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Panthers put the first points on the scoreboard with the score Carolina 3, Atlanta 0. So now the Falcons would get the ball for the first time in this game with it on their own 20 with about 8 minutes left in the first quarter. And they would be faced with a 3rd and 7 from the 23. Matt Ryan went to Roddy White. He picked up 15 yards in the first down at the 38. Then on 2nd and 6 from the 42, Matt Ryan went back to Roddy White. He picked up 13 and a first down in Carolina territory at the 45. But their drive would stall on the 42, and out would come the punting unit. And so they would punt the ball to the Panthers. Now Carolina would take over on their own 13 with about 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Then on 2nd and 1 from the 22, Tolbert picked up 7 yards in the first down on the 29. Then on 3rd and 1 from the 38, Brown picked up 28 yards and a first down in Atlanta territory at the 34. Then on 2nd and 7 from the 31, Cam Newton picked up 9 yards in the first down at the 22. Stewart then ran for 11 yards in the first down at the 11-yard line. And then on 2nd and 4 from the 5, Cam Newton out of the shotgun hits Dickson for the 5-yard touchdown pass. And the Carolina Panthers are now by 10 with the score Carolina 10, Atlanta 0. So the kickoff would end up bringing the first quarter to a close with the score 10-0 Panthers over the Falcons. Now to begin the second quarter, the Falcons would start off after the kickoff with the ball on the Carolina 38. They actually had a 66-yard return by Devin Hester on that final play of the first quarter. So they're starting in field goal range. Then on 3rd and 6 from the 34, Matt Ryan hit Freeman for a 7-yard pass, and that made a first down on the 27. Then on 3rd and 4 from the 21, Matt Ryan went to Julio Jones. He picked up 14 yards in the first down that made a 1st and goal on the 7. They weren't able to get in the end zone, and out would come Matt Bryant to attempt a 21-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Falcons put their first points on the scoreboard as they cut the Panthers' lead to 7 with the score now Carolina 10, Atlanta 3. So now the Panthers would get the ball on their own 22 after the kickoff. They would go 3 and out on the possession and punt from the 31. So now the Falcons would get the ball on their own 30 with 9.5 on the clock in the second quarter. They were faced with a 3rd and 5 from the 35. Matt Ryan dropped back out of the shotgun. He was sacked by Ely. And so out would come the punting unit as the Falcons went 3 and out. So now the Panthers would take over on their own 15 after the punt with about 8 minutes still left before halftime. They did get a first down, but after 5 plays, they ended up punting from their own 47. So now after the punt, the Falcons would take over on their own 19 with about 5.5 still left in the second quarter. Matt Ryan was sacked on first down by Johnson, and then a false start would make it 2nd and 20 from their own 9-yard line. Matt Ryan then dropped back out of the shotgun. He was intercepted by Harper, and Harper ran it back 31 yards for the pick 6 and the touchdown. And the Panthers were now up by 14 points with the score Carolina 17, Atlanta 3. So now the Falcons would take over on their own 6-yard line after the kickoff. They actually had a holding penalty on the kickoff, and that's why they're backed up against their own end zone. And on 3rd and 6 from the 10, Matt Ryan went to Devin Hester. He picked up 12 yards in the first down at the 22. And then they ended up fumbling the ball on the next play, and it was recovered by Carolina, but they ended up challenging it. And it was actually ruled, yes, it was a fumble. So the fumble by Roddy White, and now the Panthers took over on the Atlanta 4-yard line. It was 1st and goal on the 4, and Cam Newton took it in himself for the touchdown. And it was now a 21-point lead for the Panthers with the score Carolina 24, Atlanta 3. So now the Falcons would take over on their own 20 after the kickoff with less than 2 minutes left before halftime. But after 5 plays, they would end up punting from their own 45. So the Panthers would get the ball back on their own 10 after the punt, and they would bring the first half to a close with a run. And so at halftime, the score was Carolina 24, Atlanta 3. So now to open up the second half, the Falcons beat the ball first. They start off with it on their own 20 after the kickoff, but on 3rd and 16 from the, well, actually first on 2nd and 7, Matt Ryan was sacked by Short and Davis, and then on 3rd and 16, Matt Ryan was sacked by Horton. So back-to-back sacks for the Panthers, and out would come the punting unit for the Falcons as they went 3 and out and would punt from their own 8-yard line. So now the Panthers would take over on their own 41 after the punt with still 13 minutes left in the third. They're then faced with a 3rd and 8 from the 43. Cam Newton hit Kelvin Benjamin for a 9-yard reception, a first down at the 48. Newton then went to Cotchery, picked up 18 yards in the first down at the 30. Then on 3rd and 2, a false start would bring him back, and it would be 3rd and 8 from the 28. Cam Newton out of the shotgun, dropped back, and he was sacked by Bartu. So out would come Graham Gano to attempt a 48-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and it was now a 24-point lead for the Panthers with the score Carolina 27, Atlanta 3. So now the Falcons would get the ball with just under 9 minutes left in the third. They had it on their own 20 after the kickoff, but they went 3 and out and ended up punting from their own 27. So now after the punt, the Panthers would take over on their own 14 with 7.5 still left in the third, and they would go 3 and out as well, as they would end up punting from their own 22. So now the Falcons would take over after the punt on their own 6-yard line, backed up against their own end zone with less than 6 minutes left in the third quarter. They're then faced with a 2nd and 8 from the 8. Matt Ryan went to Julio Jones. He picked up 10 yards in the first down at the 18. Then on 3rd and 10 from the 18, Matt Ryan went back to Julio Jones. He picked up 20 yards in the first down at the 38. Then on 3rd and 10 from the 38, Matt Ryan went to Roddy White, but he was intercepted by Davis, and Davis ran it back 50 yards for the pick 6 and the touchdown. But wait a minute, there was an illegal contact against the defense, and so the touchdown came back, and instead of a touchdown, it would be a first down for the Falcons on their own 43. Then on 2nd and 8 from the 45, Matt Ryan hit Roddy White for a 14-yard reception that would make it a first down in Carolina territory at the 41. Then on 2nd and 15, they got a false start. They had a false start on first down. They got another false start on second down. And so now it would be 2nd and 20. They picked up 12 yards of the pass from Ryan to White. And on 3rd and 8, Ryan went to Tulolo. He picked up 3 yards, and it was now 4th and 5 from the Carolina 36. They elected to go for it. Matt Ryan dropped back to pass out of the shotgun. He was intercepted by Boston, and Boston ran it back 84 yards for the touchdown. And the pick 6, there was a penalty against the Panthers for unsportsmanlike conduct. But the score was now Carolina 34, Atlanta 3. So now after the kickoff, that would be the final play of the third quarter. So the third quarter came to a close. And now to open up the fourth, the Falcons would have the ball on their own 25, trailing by 31 points. They would end up bringing the ball across midfield and into the red zone for a 1st and 10 from the 15. But then a holding penalty would move them back. And then they would be faced with a 4th and 18 from the 23. They elected to go for it. And Matt Ryan was sacked by Lotulili. And so now they turn the ball over on downs. So now the Panthers would take over on their own 28 after the turnover on downs with 11 minutes still left in the fourth quarter. They would end up bringing the ball across midfield and into Atlanta territory. But on 4th and 8, they elected to go for it. And they only picked up 4 yards on a run by Whittaker, and so they turned the ball over on downs. And now the Falcons would take over on their own 31 with 2.5 left, still trailing by 31. They would get the ball to midfield and all the way to the Carolina 41, but a 17-yard run by Rodgers would bring this game to a close. So the final score, Carolina 34, Atlanta 3. So with the win, the Panthers end up winning the NFC South. This game was for the division title. And with a record of 7-8-1 on the year, the Panthers are the NFC South champions. They have a 3-4-1 record on the road. Is there a half game below 500? They had that tie up in Cincinnati. The Falcons are 6-10 on the season, 3-5 at home. So they have a losing record at home. They also have a losing record on the road for that matter. But the Panthers are champions. They are making it to the playoffs even though they're below 500. And in this game, Cam Newton was 10 for 16 with 114 passing yards and a touchdown. He also had 51 yards rushing to be the game's leading rusher off of 6 carries and 1 for a touchdown as well. Matt Ryan was 29 for 47 with 260 yards and 2 interceptions in this game. He also had 6 yards rushing off of 1 carry. And the leading rusher for the Falcons was Rodgers, who had 9 carries for 44 yards. And for the Panthers, Stewart had 13 carries for 49 yards. Whittaker had 7 carries for 41 yards. And Philly Brown had 2 carries for 41 yards. Oh, as I said, Cam Newton was their leading rusher. The leading receiver in the game was Roddy White. He had 8 receptions for 104 yards. Julio Jones had 4 receptions for 58 yards. Devin Hester had 4 receptions for 32 yards. The leading receiver for the Panthers was Philly Brown. He had 1 reception for 28 yards to go along with his 41 yards rushing. And Greg Olsen had 2 receptions for 27 yards. Cotchery had 3 receptions for 25 yards. And Stewart had 20 yards receiving off of 2 carries to go with his 49 yards rushing. And the leading tackler in this game was Luke Kuechly. He had 8 tackles for the Panthers. It was a 3-way tie, actually, for the Falcons' leading tackler between Werlo, Shembo, and Ishmael. They each had 7 tackles. And the Panthers had 6 sacks in this game. Lotulili had 2 sacks. Johnson had a sack. Horton and Ely each had sacks. And Davis and Short had half sacks as they combined for a sack. And the Falcons only had 1 sack in this game, and that was from Bartu. And as for picks, there was 2 picks in the game. Boston and Harper each had pick 6s. They both returned those interceptions for touchdowns. Boston, the 84-yard touchdown return, and the pick 6. Harper, a 31-yard pick 6. So the Panthers' defense comes up huge. And they end up winning this game big time with the finals: Carolina 34, Atlanta 3.